Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. This is Coach King. So we're talking about tension as a leadership, and this is the Leadership Anchor series. So let's set this up. Here's the tension. The tension is we're going to ask a question. What do you do when performance pressure tempts compromise? What do you do when performance pressure tempts compromise? When your numbers start to dip, when deadlines start to tighten, when your leadership is watching, whatever management level you're at, and when expectation rises. As leaders, we understand that pressure has a voice. It whispers to you. It says, adjust this slightly. Just don't say anything right now. Hold your tongue. No one's going to see that. You can fix it later. Hey, we can do that tomorrow. But integrity, your integrity, also has a voice. And the real battle with leaders is not external. It's the internal. So let's anchor this. In the Bible, it says, Proverbs 16:8, it says, better is a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. Notice the contrast. So there's a contrast in the scripture. It's a little with righteousness versus a whole lot of injustice. That's telling us that God is not impressed by our outcomes. God is not impressed by the results. He cares more about what happens inside of you. So God's not impressed by your outcome that happened without integrity. What he does is he weighs your motives. Okay? It's about your motives. He examines your methods and he measures your heart. He's measuring your heart. So in leadership, we often reward results. Okay? In leadership, we reward the results. But heaven rewards righteousness. Okay? And righteousness is right standing with God. That is an alignment thing for those who did not know. And the thing about results in righteousness is they're not always aligned with God. They're not in alignment with the direction your life should go, with your gifts, with your talents, with everything you're doing. You could be doing the right thing, but not aligned. So let's look at integrity defined. Okay. Integrity is consistency between belief and behavior while under pressure. So your integrity is built from pressure. Okay? Your integrity is built from pressure. It's easy to have values when things are calm. It's easy to maintain your values when things are calm, right? If you're in a room full of people that are cussing and you don't swear, it might be a little difficult for you. But if you're in a room full of saints, there's not a swear word that's happening, right? It's easier to maintain the values when you're in a room full of people who share that same value. But when you're in a room with people who do not share that same value, that's the true test. Okay? So your integrity is in question when there's pressure. Okay? But that brings it up so that you can address it. So integrity is your private reasoning. Okay? Your private reasoning matches your public actions. So what you do privately, right? It should be the same as what you do publicly, right? I say this all the time. I'd rather be a private success than a public success, right? Because I don't want to be a private failure and a public success. Because internally, that means I'm failing inside. Okay, I'd rather be a private success, right? So that I can go into the public with this confidence of who I am. Okay, because my reasoning in my private life is what I work on a daily basis. Okay, you don't have to alter ethics to preserve your image. Mm-mm. Whenever you compromise your ethics to preserve your image, that brings your integrity in question. Okay. So here is a little bit of reality for you. Pressure exposes what preparation conceals. Pressure exposes what preparation concealed. So in your prep time, which should be your private life, when you're preparing for life, when you're preparing to go out to public, where you're preparing to go to the job, whether you're preparing for that big project, that pressure of the moment exposes the preparation time that you had. Okay? Which leads us to a deeper truth. Pressure does not create character. It reveals character. Okay? It reveals your character. When the moment tightens, your default comes out. So with pressure, when you are pressed down, right? We all say this. If you press coal, you create diamonds. You press rocks and gems. You get certain things, and whatever's on the inside starts to show, right? The more you press on something, if it's oily, you press on the olive, you get oil, right? You press on apples, you get juice. And what's on the inside is amazing, right? We love olive oil. It's good for you. We love apple juice. It's great for us. Orange juice, great for us. But what happens when you're pressed? Okay. What happens when you're pressed? So what is your default? The juice, what's inside of you, right? If fear is your foundation, then manipulation will come out of you. So when you're pressed and you have nothing but fear on the inside, you'll start to manipulate others under pressure. If you're insecure, and if you have insecurity on the inside, defensiveness appears. You get defensive. Why are you talking to me like that? Well, I pressured an insecure spot in you. So now you're defensive. If ego is inside of you, then you start to point fingers. Well, he did that, and well, Susie over here. Well, it was management's issue, right? But if the truth is your foundation, that's where the grounded, steady appears. It appears. It comes up. So as leaders, we want truth as our foundation. Okay? That's a good thing to have inside of you. If you are a good steward, responsibility appears under pressure. If you're obedient, then courage appears. No, this is what we were talking about. When you're put under pressure, no, this is what it is. You're bold, right? If you ever push somebody who's a rule follower, they'll tell you exactly what you told them. No, you said, right? Pressure is a light, not just any light. It is a spotlight on your character. Pressure raises a spotlight to your character, so your character is revealed based on the integrity inside of you. So the question you need to ask yourself, what I asked myself this week, what is your character made of before the moment arrives? What is your character made of before that moment arrives in your life? Develop the character in your private life at home, right here in this house. This is how I develop my character. Okay. But what is that? Define it. And if you are, insecure, have fear and moments of tightness, right? You have an ego issue, right? You have to figure that out in your private time, and then you have to look for change. That's what you need to change if you want to lead other people. Okay. So let's place this inside the idea, right? IDEA stands for innovation, development, education, and administration. Put that into this framework. This falls under education. Can I learn? And we got to understand that education is not just information, okay? It's internal formation. What am I learning about me? Okay? So leaders have to educate themselves, and they have to do it consciously before the crisis comes, before the challenges of life come. You have to educate your conscience. You have to educate your mind. You have to put in good things. Okay? You have to put it inside yourself. You have to consume not just knowledge, but do a practical application. Write it down, make it plain, put a plan together. Do those things consciously before the pressure comes. You don't build integrity in the moment of temptation. No. Temptation is the test. When that thing comes to you, you are now being tested, tried. It is now your time for the spotlight. The spotlight's on you. It's not time to build anything. It's time for you to show who you are. You don't build integrity in the moment of temptation. You build integrity at home. You build it in quiet conviction long before. That means pastors studying the Bible, people, personal, aligning your values, understanding what your non-negotiables are in your life, from relationships to finances. Okay. Clarifying those things, reflecting on past compromise. What did I do in the past that was not successful? Repenting where it's necessary. So changing the way I think about this thing and not going back to it, to making a decision not to do that again. I'm never doing that again. You thought, yeah, I ain't doing that no more. Right. And then also restoring what things in your life have been broken. So rebuild the temple. Okay. Rebuild this thing. Go to the gym. Eat better. Okay. If your health was destroyed, if it was broken because of the relationship or the job was too stressful, you loaded with cortisol, figure out how to get some exercise, right? Eat a salad or two extra, have fruit and veggies. Eat lean meats and proteins, right? Walk on a regular basis, 30 minutes a day. Keeps the blood sugar away. I just made that up, okay? Because we got to do this, because when pressure hits, you'll not just rise to the occasion. You will fall to your level of preparation, right? And everybody has their own. Some people, man, you put a pressure on them. Michael Jordan, you don't poke the bear. You don't wake him up. You don't wake up a guy like that, because he's been preparing his entire life for that. When there's 3 seconds on the shot clock, who are you gonna give the ball to in the fourth quarter? Right? It's because his preparation was a training ground for those moments, Mr. Clutch. Okay? And in the playoffs, Jordan, was better than the season, Jordan, which is crazy. Look at the stats. And if your conscience has been trained by truth, truth will lead you. And that's that steadiness. Okay? You'll appear steady. And as leadership, that's what we want our disposition to be in times of change. People want to follow a person who's stable, man, woman. And that's what guides. If your conscience is only trained by performance, it will justify compromising. So let's talk about this practically, okay? And I'm going to start with a question. What does compromise look like under pressure? Compromise, we're compromising integrity by inflating our performance numbers. I want to make this look better than what it really is. Because I'm solely focused on performance, right? I don't tell people difficult information. It's hard. I'm withholding information that's difficult to share, right? I start blaming my staff. It's your fault. You're the reason why this is not working, right? You start cutting the ethical corners. Like, well, we have to veer from this policy because, that kind of thing, right? You make promises you can't keep. You make promises you cannot keep, right? If then statements. If y'all do this, I'll do that, right? If you do this by this time, you can. You're making compromises, and you don't even realize it. Okay. If you're doing the compromising thing, it is performance, and you really just trained yourself to perform, and that's something that I have to be cautious of personally, because I like outcomes, I like results, but I have to learn to be trained by the truth. And the truth is we're not ready as a team to do this, right? We're not ready to be at that level. Best coaches will tell the team, hey, this team we're playing here are better than you. Statistically, they're bigger. Statistically, they're better. They're more efficient. You're not ready for these guys. So what you have to do is just go out and play hard, play fast, play together. But hey, it's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long night. Okay, you go up and play some SEC schools versus, we get in the MAC. No offense, I'm a Chippewa, love it. Fire up chips, by the way. But come on, man, what are we doing? So shortcuts often save you, but it's short term. Shortcuts mean short term, right? Because they erode the trust in the long term. So if you take a shortcut, just know there's a long-term disadvantage to that. If you're shortcutting yourself, long-term disadvantage to that, right? And trust. Trust is the currency of leadership. You have to trust your people. Your people have to trust you. But if you are a shortcut taker, that trust will start to erode over time. Long term, I can't trust you. And once trust declines, morale declines, transparency declines, and then your performance starts to backslide too, right? So the shortcut was never worth it in the beginning. So you have to make these decision rules. If shortcut saves numbers but costs trust, it's way too expensive for you. If shortcuts saves your numbers but cost you the truth, it's way too expensive. Because you know what? Your numbers can turn around tomorrow. But trust, there's a speed to it, and it's so hard to build. Trust is lost in buckets, but gained in drops. And when you shot the trust with anybody, you have to rebuild that. And leaders who sacrifice trust for metrics eventually lose both. We lose the trust and we lose the metrics, and therefore we're ineffective. So here's the deal. Here's what you want to do, okay? Before your next big decision in your life, ask yourself, would I defend this publicly? If you have to hide that and you're not going to defend it publicly, don't do it. Would I explain this decision openly? Why did you do this? Would I stand by it if it is questioned? Would I be at peace if it became visible? Okay? Ask yourself, these are just yes and no's. Yes or no. Okay? Would I defend this publicly? Would I explain this decision openly? Would I stand by it if questioned? And would I be at peace if it became visible? If your answer is no, pause. Don't do that. Integrity often requires us to slow down. Slow me down. Take my eyes off what's around. Okay? Integrity, right? And slowing down under pressure is actually strength. It's like back squatting slowly or bench pressing slowly. You got to be strong to have a whole lot of weight. Do it slow, okay? It's not weakness. A weak person can't do that. They need to move fast. A strong person, they put a whole lot of weight and they move it slow. Powerful people move a whole lot of weight fast. Strong people move it slow. Move slowly, okay? The heavier the weight gets, it won't travel fast anyway. So let's take one additional step. All right. Identify one non-negotiable value you refuse to compromise in your leadership journey. What is one non-negotiable value that you refuse to compromise? Write that down. Write it down. Meditate, pray. Think about it. Ruminate over what you wrote and then make a commitment. Okay? Leadership under pressure is not about proving strength. This is not a powerlifting competition, okay? It's about preserving your integrity. I'm trying to help you preserve this integrity under pressure, right? You can build performance outcomes. You can build performance systems. You can build operational excellence. But if integrity cracks, everything eventually collapses. So anchor yourself in righteousness, right standing and alignment with the life God is trying to push you in. If you haven't figured out your calling, you don't know exactly what it is that you're here to be on this earth, you don't know who you are, figure out that first. Anchor yourself in that because that's what God wants you to be, okay? And choose long-term trust over short-term gain. Always choose the long-term over the short-term, okay? Lead in a way that heaven can endorse, not just your stakeholders. Heaven for some people can be what brings you peace. Lead in a way that brings you peace. Lead in a way that heaven can endorse, not just the people that you work for, not just out of the service itself. Okay? Well, I'm Coach King, Michael. Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. Peace out.